There is a specific, terrifying exhaustion that comes from being caught inside a hostile system. It is the realization that the structure surrounding you is simply too large, too complex, and too deeply entrenched to overpower. This crisis takes hold when institutional authorities no longer protect the innocent, and instead begin to function as an inescapable weight on those trying to survive within them. Long before his enthronement, David found himself caught in this exact type of systemic crush. David's strategy reveals how a divine calling can remain intact even when an earthly system turns hostile. David's crisis begins with flight. Hunted by the administration of King Saul, he makes a desperate move across the border into hostile Philistine territory. He seeks refuge in the city of Gath, the hometown of his former slain enemy, Goliath. Upon entry, panic drives David to make a catastrophic mistake. He is carrying Goliath's own sword into Goliath City. This weapon of past victory instantly backfires. The sword makes him recognizable, exposing his identity and leading to his immediate detainment by the Philistine guards. They drag him to the city gates. In the ancient Near East, the gate functioned as the center of legal judgment and authority. David is totally exposed at the seat of enemy power. A past victory offers no protection when a new system closes its jaws around you. Instead of fighting back or demanding royal respect, David utilizes a highly unexpected survival tactic. He begins to act like a madman. He scratches wildly at the heavy doors of the gate and allows saliva to run freely down his beard. In an honor-based culture, this is a total abandonment of royal composure. Theologians categorize this specific, deeply humiliating behavior as inverted theater. Inverted theater is a calculated, embodied act at a threshold. The goal is to initiate an intentional collapse of one's own identity to neutralize an active external threat. David voluntarily abandons all visible traces of his dignity to protect his calling. Surviving a hostile system sometimes requires the sacrifice of public honor. Ancient city gates were the specific locations where official legal decrees and authoritative records were inscribed for the public. David's nonsensical scribbling on these exact doors acts as an anti-royal parody of that legal inscription process. By replacing a dignified decree with meaningless marks, David forces the earthly authorities to completely reinterpret his identity. The local ruler, King Achish, renders his decision. He legally downgrades David's status from a dangerous rival king to a harmless, unclassifiable madman and orders his immediate expulsion. David's survival turned on the manipulation of the system's own legal categories. The king's dismissal of a madman became the mechanism of the Anointed One's preservation. While this physical chaos unfolded at the earthly gate, David documented the unseen theological reality happening simultaneously in Psalm 56. This introduces the concept of dual jurisdictions. The earthly legal system is entirely subordinated to the supreme judge in the heavenly courtroom. While King Achish sat in judgment at the physical gate, God presided over the exact same events from the heavenly courtroom. The text reveals God actively gathering evidence from the scene, placing David's tears into a divine container. God was formally documenting David's misery as binding legal testimony within a divine scroll. The earthly enemy looked at the gate and saw the meaningless scribbles of a fool. God looked at the scroll and recorded deeply meaningful legal evidence of a righteous sufferer. Humiliation endured under corrupt earthly powers is never wasted emotion. It is formally documented testimony, meaning every instance of suffering is seen and validated by the highest authority. David's experience establishes a pattern that reappears centuries later, involving a future king who would face a nearly identical threshold crisis. Centuries later, Jesus would be handed over to hostile powers, stripped of his dignity, spat upon, and mocked as a false king by blind authorities. Yet a crucial difference exists. While David feigned madness to save his own life, Jesus willingly embraced ultimate humiliation to secure cosmic salvation for the world. Today, many find themselves trapped by broken administrations, procedural exhaustion, or toxic authorities. God places a strict legal boundary on these systems. They are permitted to threaten our physical comfort and our reputations, but they are restricted from destroying our divine calling. God's calling survives our weakest, most humiliating moments. Our identity is not determined by the judgments written on the doors of human institutions. It is recorded in the heavenly scroll.